Greetings, the face behind the ink. So the whole point of this YouTube channel was kind of an experiment, mostly spawned from the discovery that with the writing, I would write on the computer all the draft that I would work up, and then I would go and print off the first draft, and then I would go through the draft physically, writing notes, doing edits physically, because there's the tactile function of doing the edits kind of anchors you down into the story a little bit better than just living throughout the digital interface of the computer. That and enough hard drive and computer failures leave you without draft to do any work on. So, in that process of doing the editing, I found that reading the story out loud helped with editing. There would be some things that I would catch. You know, the sentence didn't sound right. You started to find yourself repeating yourself, words that, didn't need to be repeated, or it would just be the visual run-on sentence didn't seem so bad until you had tried to read it out loud. And then with that idea, well, if I'm going to if I'm going to read it out loud, I might as well record it. Well, if you're going to record it, you might as well record it halfway decent and not screw it up. Well, if you're going to record it halfway decent, well, you might try doing a podcast. Well, over the course of having an obsession with photography, because I got a Kodak point and shoot, and it was a piece of trash because it was a battery shark. Every time you turned it on, it would have to charge the capacitor for the flash, and before you know it, you got like 4 or 5 images out of the batteries, and that was it. So I got an Icon, then I got another Icon, and upgraded, and that whole point was to formulate some photo reference, like clouds, cars, things that I would put in the paintings or the drawings, or whatever it was. And like with everything else, I got hooked into the photography. And so when I got to this point of recording a podcast of me reading out these stories, well, why don't you make videos of your drawing? Can I do that? Well, that would make sense. So you could record the video of you drawing the illustrations for the stories that you're reading out loud. Hey, why not? So if you go through some of my older videos, like a year ago, there's a short story, The Fortress, which I went through that process, and then there's 2 chapters of a novella called The Roadside that have yet to be read out loud in this manner, but there's chapters 1 through 10, I think, that are old channels, or not old channels, but old videos. So that's kind of the reason why I set up the YouTube channel. It wasn't, people get this idea of making riches. And it's just, that's not the point. It's, hello, Mr. Bug. But yeah, that was the whole point of starting the YouTube channel. What was the point of doing any of this if you don't put it out in the world? And, treat things like self-promotion. Why not promote yourself? I mean, who needs to be at a dead-end job until they retire? That's kind of a shitty thing. Time is a cage that continues to shrink. It doesn't get any bigger. It gets shorter, smaller. And like an aquarium, it gets to this point where the cage shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. Before you know it, the cage has swallowed you up, and that's it. And it's kind of a thing that everyone should realize. Time is fleeting. make the most of everything. And I imagine that becomes a cliche. Everyone says that time is fleeting. But when you see a family member, your father, your mother, on their deathbed, where you watch them draw their last breath, it nails it home. It really does. So yeah, take it from me. Life is fleeting. So anyway, this here, I'm going to start with this. I haven't worked on this since 2015. I got roped into other projects after that, and they're finished as well. But I haven't worked on this one for quite a while, titled Ironheads. Out where the hunger roams. Murray Claymore jabbed his finger at the radio as he drifted the truck close to the ditch. The truck rattled against potholes, a noise deep inside, between the body and frame. In the bowels of the drivetrain, the beast was a shell of its previous glory, thick Detroit steel strapped to an engine made before plastic became all the rage. The engine was a proper American V8, before machines had a sell-by date, loose as a goose until it warmed up, turning butter smooth as it breathed in and out. The radio blinked, a cold green light. Through a cut in the steel dash, it peered out as if behind the eye slot of a welder's helmet, the visage of a 1950s radiation monster, a horror film icon forgotten along with bobby socks and slick hairstyles. The radiation monster lived, hissing like a snake. Memories of swing music, lipstick, and lovesick love song crooners singing notes as thick as the radiation itself. There were no monsters or hipsters, no mad scientists or radiation. There was just the open country road and a miscreant signal. The light cast a strange color over Claymore's face. His blunt nose shone like a ball-peen hammer, his chin bearing a cinder block's square shape with cheekbones flat as anvils. The light was chilled, offering Claymore an appearance of a corpse left in a cooler. Peculiar to his rustic features, his eyes were hard as marbles. The shining points of his eyes reflected the radio's color back at him, sensing a gross affliction on the other side of his eyes. The radiation monster, unmasked, sickened by his monstrosity, and made invincible by it. The radio had qualities of a tribal mask, more sinister than the welder's helmet, the tuning and volume knob as carved eyes, the thick preset buttons black and pitted as rotten teeth in a skull's jaw. Claymore poked at those rotten teeth, searching for something other than unearthly static. So, that's part of it. And that's the reason, essentially, why I started this YouTube thing. And what I probably will do is I will keep to the artwork, but I might start a podcast, an audio podcast, with the reading of the fiction, because it gets to be kind of tedious, I suppose. Maybe not. We'll see. But anyway, thank you for watching, and have a good evening.